Have you ever said to someone, I think you're addicted to your phone? Maybe just thought it in your head. Have you ever thought it about an adult? What about a teenager? Hi y'all, Doc Martha here. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist, and today I want to talk about cell phones. I like to think of myself as the kind of person who is not addicted to my cell phone. I like to think of myself as different from other people and that I don't use my cell phone too much. And yet, in the last 6 months, many times I have found myself up much too late with my phone in my hand, usually scrolling. A year ago, the app timer on my phone for my social media was 10 minutes, sometimes 15. And while I did bump into that timer multiple times a week, usually when the timer said, time to shut off this app, I let it shut it down. A few weeks ago, I was scrolling late at night, and I was thinking to myself, the timer hasn't shut me down. Must be doing pretty good. I was kind of proud of myself. And then I went into the settings and I looked at the timer and I discovered that rather than 10 minutes, it was at 1 hour and 50 minutes. So every time I would bump up against the limit and I would press that add 10 minutes, I had somehow conveniently forgot that timer was cumulative. And somehow in my mind, I was like, I'm just adding 10 minutes for today. And I wasn't really keeping track of the fact that I was adding 10 minutes, adding 10 minutes, adding 10 minutes until I'd reached this 1 hour and 50 minute new timer. Before we go any further, I want to share a strategy with y'all. This is one I recommend when I do presentations with educators, and also it's one that I use with my clients. When we see people doing stuff in front of us that we don't understand, rather than thinking, what is wrong with you? We could be thinking, what has happened to you? I want to note that in both cases, these are thoughts in our minds rather than words that we necessarily say out loud. This strategy, even in our minds, can provide context and helps foster compassion. This strategy is a thing that we do naturally for people that we know and care about. Imagine you're at home and your mother, brother, sister, lover, friend, partner, roommate, someone comes in and slams the door. Now, assuming that that's not the way they come into the house every day, our first thought is less likely to be, what's wrong with you, unless we've also had a bad day, and more likely to be, what has happened? What has got you in this mood? Because we understand that behavior has meaning. That behavior is, in fact, a way of communicating. So let's go back to cell phones. I've been thinking about cell phones a lot because of all the conversation around cell phone bans in schools and the things that educators are thinking about and talking about in terms of what to do about cell phones in schools, and also the connection that social media usage has on mental health. When I'm talking to educators about cell phones, often the conversation seems to be a little judgy. And as you could tell from my intro to this video, I myself have some of those same judgments, right? If I go into a restaurant and I see a group of people and all of them are on their phone, I'm having judgmental thoughts. I'm just saying. But the truth is, if we dig down a little bit deeper, if we look for the what has happened in this scenario, we'd understand that people's connections to their cell phone has little to do with willpower, age, understanding. What we find is the thing that's driving our attention to our cell phones and keeping it there is that they're designed to do that, to attract our attention and to maintain it. How do they know how to do this? I mean, if you've seen The Social Dilemma with Tristan Harris, you can see how engineered social media really is. Psychologists are part of that engineering. Now, I don't work in social media, so I don't know the exact ins and outs of that, but I do know that safety, connection, and agency are human needs, and social media apps are designed to act as if they're going to meet those needs for us. Thinking about connection, during the shelter in place, for so many of us, social media was where we felt connected to other people. I'm pretty sure I didn't even have a timer on my social media apps during that time. Even now, for folks who live in rural areas, for people who are marginalized, for people who feel like they don't fit in, social media can really be a place where we get connected with other people who have similar likes, other people who are having similar experiences. These are places that social media can have a positive impact. Thinking about safety. So often, social media has felt like the place that I can get the news that really is going to impact me. Social media is often faster than news outlets and can give us information that we're not getting from other places. Coming back to the present moment and my social media usage, in this moment, I feel worried. And while I'm not sure that social media really makes me feel safer, sometimes scrolling through and looking at other people who are doing similar work to mine does make me feel better. Sometimes it helps me feel connected. But the reality for me is too much social media is not really good for my mental health. And not just for me. I'm going to put some articles in the description below so you can check it out for yourself. But the short story is, while social media can help people feel connected, we don't actually just see what we want to see. We see what the algorithm puts in front of us. And the algorithm trends toward a downward spiral. And that's because our brains are designed to pay close attention to negative stuff. It's more important for me to know that those berries will kill me than that the red berries are more piquant and the blueberries are sweeter, right? Our brains are designed to keep us alive and therefore to pay attention to negative things. So once we start following negative things, once we start watching negative things on social media, there's a tendency to see more negative things because the algorithm is set up by people who understand what human brains do. And also, social media is 24/7. When I was a child, other children at school picked on me. They picked on the way I talked, the kind of clothes I wore, the food I brought for lunch. But when I went home, I was just with my neighborhood kids, and they didn't pick on me. So whatever bullying I was experiencing at school stayed at school. These days, if people are getting picked on at school, they are most likely also being picked on online. Even if they themselves don't have a social media presence, other children are posting things about them, negative things about them. And so that bullying doesn't end at school. So even at home, they may not feel safe. And the act of trying to connect might make them feel worse. Okay, so that's the bad news. What can we do about all this? First, we can remember to use the strategy I talked about earlier. Remember my example of the mother, brother, sister, lover, friend, partner, roommate, whoever comes home and slams the door? Imagine if they slam the door and we also haven't had a very good day and we say to them, "What is wrong with you?" Like, what will happen next in the house? My guess is there'd be some conflict there. So when we're looking at adolescents or other adults and we're thinking to ourselves, wow, you spend way too much time on our phone, we can first remember what has happened. That folks are looking at their phones and staying on their phones because they were designed to get our attention and keep our attention. Not because there's anything inherently wrong with the adolescents or adults that we're looking at. Next, if we're going to talk with adolescents or adults about their cell phone usage, we want to alert them to the way that social media is monetized. Meaning that when apps are open, when we are doing our scrolling, someone is making some money. This is a place where we can use that adolescent drive to question authority for the greater good. I don't know if you've heard of truth.com, but they are an organization that did a campaign against smoking. Now they have a vaping campaign, but the original campaign was against smoking cigarettes. And what they did was they told adolescents, listen, big tobacco does not care about you. They want your money and they don't care if you get sick. Yes, they already know that smoking causes cancer and they don't care. And adolescents were in an uproar about this. They were mad about it. And they had some pretty good results. There was an overall decrease in smoking of cigarettes, in part as a result of that campaign. We can use similar messaging about social media. We can encourage youth to think about, what do social media companies really care about? Is it about our health and well-being? If not, what can we do about that? Finally, we consider what ways youth feel connected and safe in their neighborhoods, with their friends, in their school communities. We can create and support opportunities for connection. If we're educators, we can offer choices during the school day to both increase a sense of agency and really build that decision-making ability. The more we do these things with our youth and ourselves, the less dependence we'll have on our devices and the stronger we'll all be together. Take care, y'all.